What is up, everyone? Thank you all so much for joining me today. I am the Cheating Lefty, and I am here to bring you yet another Discraft disc review, this time taking a look at the Paul McBeth Onyx. Being a speed 10, the Onyx isn't quite a distance driver, but it's also faster than most fairway drivers. It's kind of that in the middle, so it still gets great distance, but also very controllable. And if you're wondering about the stamp, the Onyx in Greek does mean military commander. Now let's go ahead, take a look at the disc spotlight. Now for the Onyx, it does range from fairly flat to semi-dome. The flat ones, primarily I've only been able to find that in the first runs. Most of the others have semi-dome to them. Feel is very similar to the old school Avenger and also the Vulture. I know Paul McBeth loved the Vulture, but it just wasn't quite as overstable as he wanted it, so hence came the Onyx. Not to mention, as an overstable disc, at least overstable for medium to slower arms, straight to slightly overstable for bigger arms, it has surprisingly great glide. So going out to the field and taking a look at this new limited edition Z Onyx, I was really surprised how much stability it has. This thing is one of the most overstable Onyxes that I have actually ever thrown. It's definitely in the higher tier amongst all the different runs, as even when thrown flat, it just kind of went straight and hyzer right away, and on an anhyzer, forced over shot, it didn't want anything to do with it. It just kind of flattened out and turned into a hyzer right away. But it still has good glide, so I wasn't really losing out on too much distance. So what makes this disc so great? First, perfect for spike hyzers. Because it is so overstable for us medium to slower arms, it is perfect for those spike hyzer shots, but also because it's a speed 10 and being very controllable, it's just good for those really nice placement shots, both forehand and backhand. And since this run of the Onyx is very overstable for a player like myself, I can trust it down tight gaps because I know I can throw it flat hard or on a slight ante and it's not going to fully turn over. It's just going to kind of flip up, hold straight, and then hyzer out. Also, it holds a ton of torque. Look at how steep of an anhyzer line that I give that. As long as giving a little bit of air, it's going to fight out. This thing really holds a lot of power super well. So for all you big arms who thought that more recent runs of the Onyx was a little bit too straight, got too much turn, rejoice, you are going to love this disc. And speaking of big arms, it doesn't get much bigger than Minnesota's own Alex Geisinger, and he was kind enough to lend us his services and throw a shot with the new limited edition Z Onyx to give you guys a good idea about what a big power thrower can do with it. As you can see, put it on a little bit of a hyzer, flipped up to flat, and it just held perfectly straight until hyzering out. So again, you big arms, rejoice. I think this is the Onyx you've been waiting for. Now, when it comes to different plastic types, it's really just come in a lot of different runs of ESP. However, the Z just dropped, and on October 15th of 2021, the new Big Z will be dropping, so be sure to watch for that. Now, when it comes to looking at all the different kind of plastic types, I think the first run with a little bit of dome to it are kind of the more on the understable side, very straight, a little bit of turn to understable. Stock are going to be just very straight, but then have a predictable finish. The test flight that I have is very overstable. I don't think it's quite as overstable as this new limited edition Z, but it's very, very close. They're almost identical. Versus the most overstable Onyx that I've found is the first run, super board flat. I mean, paper flat. Not the semi-dome. I think the semi-dome first runs are almost the more understable. The first runs that are flat are the most overstable. So again, now looking at the Lefty lines, you're going to see all the lines with these discs side by side. And as you can see that the first run semi-dome has quite a bit of decent turn in the mid-flight versus the stock, just a little bit more overstable, just not nearly as much turn in the mid-flight, but very, very comparable. The test flight almost didn't want to turn at all. It just rode out straight, and then it slowed down and then hyzered, which is very similar to the new limited edition Z. It just rode out straight and then hyzered, while the flat first run, I mean, it basically has no glide. It's pretty much a Raptor. It just flies out straight and then it just wants to hook right away. Definitely the most overstable of the group. I have to say I am really impressed with this new limited edition Z Onyx. It has great glide. I wasn't expecting it with being how overstable it is for medium arms. but it has great glide. It was getting out there on hyzers with other discs that I'm throwing on flexes. So even though I consider this a very overstable disc for a medium arm, I'm not going to be sacrificing too much distance at all to get that predictability. Well, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep banging them chains.